another edition of Creator News Live. So excited for you to be here. We're continuing our series on side hustle secrets, and this is kind of a funny story, and we'll probably talk about it a little bit. But I was messaging Katie Fox from Ecamm, and I was like, okay, I need some more people to do this in this series of side hustle stuff. And we were talking about Tanya, and she was like, no, she's not. She works. She does this thing full time. She's a creator. And I'm like, but she said one time that she worked for corporate, and like we couldn't decide. That's how prolific Tanya is with her brand. Like we couldn't figure out if she had a side hustle or not, but she does, and so that makes her even better to talk today. So we're so excited you're here, and the amazing Paul Gowder, who's usually traveling the globe. He is back home. Paul, how are you doing today, my friend?
Yeah, it's a good day. Yeah, I'm back home for a couple weeks, so it's got to get settle in and get some work done.
Yeah, and Tanya and I are going to be at Social Media Marketing World at the end of this month. So if you're there, make sure you grab us and say hi. It's going to be a fun time in California for the first time ever. So that's going to be very, very cool. So I'm excited for that. Let's see, we got some of our friends already popping in, saying hi. We've got Sean, who was our guest last week, saying, what's up, gang? Sean, thank you so much for popping in, as always. And the amazing Zach Brown from the Zach Brown Network saying, good morning, everybody. And then happy Friday, all. Hello, Jeff and Paul. Hello. Disney Hotel Lady. She's awesome. She's another one. We were talking about momentum before the show started. And that's where I got to meet her. And then Jim Fuse. All the fun people are stopping by. Amy Keys. Hello. This is going to be an amazing show. So make sure, wherever you're watching from, that you ask your questions down below as we're going through. Use this time to pick Tanya's brain, because that's what I'm going to do. And I would rather use your comments than mine. So this is going to be a lot of fun. And the amazing Rich Cram is also popping in today. Yeah, he thought you were on a boat. So that's a good guess, Rich, that he usually is on a boat. But no, he is landlocked today. So without further ado, I am going to go ahead and hit play on the podcasting machine, and we will get started. Hello, folks. Welcome to Creator News Live. I'm Jeff C., and you're not.
And I'm Paul Gowder, and this is the show that keeps you up to date with what's happening in the world of the creator economy and so much more.
You ever thought about what it takes to keep a side hustle going? Not just for a few months, but for over 20 years. Maybe you're wanting to build something on the side, but feel like you just can't quite crack the code on turning your content into revenue. Or maybe you've been putting out videos, going live, doing all the things, and still feel like nobody's watching. If any of that sounds like you, then you are in for a treat, because you are in the right place.
Today, we're joined by Tanya Smith, the founder of Get Noticed with Video and the host of Stream Like a Boss. And she has spent over 2 decades helping service providers turn live streams and podcasts into revenue using her BOSS framework. Can't wait to hear more about that. And she does it all without depending on algorithms. She's sharing what's working, how she's using AI, and the lessons she's learned from 20 years of building a business on the side.
So sit back, clear your schedule, clear your mind to get ready for this week's episode of Creator News Live.
Side hustle secrets, 20 years. Tanya's got the framework, no more losing sleep. Be seen, heard, and paid. She's showing the way. Boss up your content on Creator News Live today.
Every time it just gets so much better. It's so much fun. I love doing that. It's so much fun to do. Thank you, Tanya, for being on the show today. This is going to be awesome.
Thank you for the super cool intro and that image, the song, all of it. Like,
my daughter, so cool. who helps me put it together, she goes, when she turns her head, there's a bun. You can't use it. I'm like, she'll be okay. She'll be fine.
I was good. I'm good. Yeah. Sometimes I have a bun.
Yeah. So there you go. So anyway, what makes this all possible to be able to pull this stuff is our friends over at Ecamm. They're what we're producing the show with. You can find out more about them by going to ecamm.com/Jeff. Use code Jeff15 for saving 15% on your first purchase. They've got all sorts of cool stuff coming up. They've got like 3 camps this year. They're doing one in the UK. They're doing one in Chicago, which I'll be at, and then there'll be their big flagship one in Portsmouth. So if you want to know about that, go make sure you go to Ecamm. But thank you so much for Ecamm for sponsoring the show. Ecamm.com/Jeff. But let's just dive into this because this is really good. We've been talking about side hustles. We had Sean on last week. We got some cool guests coming up. But Tanya, I really want to talk to you about kind of like your, I guess, origin story. But I also want to know from the people watching, like you've been side hustling for over 20 years. So I want to let you guys to let me know if you are currently running a side hustle. Let me know in the comments, or maybe you're thinking about doing a side hustle. Let us know which one you're doing, because I think a lot of people are doing this. Sometimes it's a little quiet, and some people don't even know. Like, we didn't even know Tanya was doing it for so long. So it's really, really cool. So Tanya, you've been doing this side hustle thing for 20 years. So take us back to the beginning. Like, what was that first side hustle you did, and what actually made you start?
Ooh, okay. I had to think back when you invited me to this show, because it has been such a long time, and I definitely did not start with video. Let me say that, because I was one of those people who said, don't ever put me on camera. I'm not a camera person. And so I actually started, I was actually stressed out. I was distressed because my husband and I were not living together in the moment. We were in Indianapolis initially. We had just had our first child. She was only a few weeks old when I moved to Dallas, and he was still in Indiana. And it was right around the whole, I think it was around the 9/11 thing initially that we moved, or I moved here. And I was alone walking in the mall, pushing my baby carriage, crying. And this woman walked up to me and said, hey, I just wanted to talk to you and let you know that you have options. I don't know what made her think that she needed to say anything to me, but
Wow.
I felt like they call it the golden handcuffs when you work for corporate and you're kind of tied because the money is coming in, it's stable, it's sustainable, all of that. And so she offered me an opportunity to be a Mary Kay salesperson. And that was my very first side hustle, because I took the message that she shared about having the freedom to choose and to create your own path. But my path was not cosmetics. I learned pretty quickly that I wanted the freedom, I wanted the creative expression, I wanted the decision-making power, but I wasn't quite sure that sales was my thing. I just knew that I loved being in this space where I could mentor other women. And that was where I found that my gift lie. That's where I was supposed to be. It just was an iteration over the years of different opportunities to be coaching and mentoring. And so it morphed into a whole bunch of other things, Jeff.
Well, it's funny. Did you get the pink car? Did you?
No, I didn't make it to the pink car.
It's so funny because that's kind of your brand colors. It's the
I know.
pink is a big part of it. So I just wondered.
Right?
I just wondered.
Yeah.
It's funny because initially my colors for my business came from my HR background, because in the corporate world, I was starting to move into the HR and training field. And I started with a really deep burgundy color back then with my first real business outside of Mary Kay, my first coaching business. And that morphed over the years and got brighter and brighter as I became more mature and more confident in my business.
That's really cool. That's really cool. I love origin stories. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. It's going to keep getting brighter, right, as you grow. That's awesome. So at what point in your side hustles did you realize that and make the mindset shift that these weren't hobbies, that you had real businesses and started treating them like that?
You know what? That's a really excellent question too, because initially I just thought, hey, I'm doing this because it's my way to have this creative freedom. But I never thought, okay, this is going to make me money and this is something I really want to do. It was when I started seeing the impact of the work that I was delivering. And initially, like I said, I started my very first outside of cosmetics business was focused on an HR arena. It was in career coaching. And I was starting to create a name for myself, but I did not love the work. I didn't want to write resumes for people. And I didn't want to talk about jobs and promoting yourself in a career, because I was kind of moving mentally away from that. But what happened is people started seeing what I was doing and how I was actually able to fill a room It still was an audio room, not video, but I was filling telesummits, and I created my very first product, which is crazy. I went to find this for y'all, but I created a telesummit around career called the Women of Color Career Success Telesummit. And I sold, look, these CDs.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Is that crazy, right?
Yeah.
Because I actually was able to attract a bunch of different speakers from around the world to talk about how women could be promoted in their career. And that was where I saw, okay, there's an opportunity here because I could sell these and I could actually earn money from them. And I was making a positive impact.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's so funny because back in the day, I had one of those robot printers, the CD printers. I could have produced that for you. Like I had that thing that would take it and do like an inkjet printer. And I would stay up till like 2, 3 in the morning getting this out for different clients. And back then, remember the credit card CDs where you could, it looked like a credit card and it would fit in the little tray and it sounded like something was going to explode and when it started lighting up. Thank you. I did that. Yeah, you can thank me for that. But anyway, so crazy. So I kind of want to know, you kind of went to the side hustle and you founded Get Noticed with Video LLC. Was there like a specific moment? You mentioned, the Mary Kay thing, the CD thing, when it like a turning point that pushed you to go all in on video? Because you've mentioned that you are very much an introvert. Getting on camera wasn't your first idea. Like what made you go in that direction?
Yeah, my initial businesses were based on things that I just love to do. I've always had this knack for systems, workflows, tech. I could always pick up any piece of technology, any software, any digital app, learn it, even no matter how complicated it was. So HTML code, all of that. And initially I was just trying to find my way. So I was putting feelers out there, right? And so people knew me because of the systems. They knew my SOPs. And back then I was doing videos without my face, but showcasing workflows and doing reviews of digital apps and that type of thing. And I realized the power of video because video captured the audio, plus it also had the visuals on screen, plus you could transcribe it and use the text. I realized that fairly soon after I started to find my sea legs, right? And to really get a grip on, okay, I am a business owner once I made that commitment. And so what ended up happening is because I recognized the power of video, I formed Get Noticed with Video LLC. It was available as a domain. And I thought, okay, well, this must be mine. It's meant for me.
There you go.
And I started going in on video from the angle of recording over slides and that type of thing. But and recording over screen shares, but I still wasn't sold on putting my face on camera. It wasn't until I realized at one point that my reach was not where it was. There was no longer the opportunity for me to go on Twitter, send out a tweet and fill up a room. It wasn't happening anymore.
Got it.
And it was right around the time that my husband was also going through cancer treatment, chemo for colon cancer at a very young age too. When we realized that I was trying to make this shuffle of all the different things. So I still had the corporate, I had 2 kids, I had 3 dogs, I had the husband, right? Who was overseas even at that time. And I needed to make some decisions about how I wanted to roll. So the thing that came out of this is, Tanya, when you do the things that others don't, you get the opportunities that others won't. People don't want to show up on camera. You don't want to show up on camera, but you see the social platforms are asking for you to do that. So I decided I'm going to try live streaming for a year because I knew I needed a runway.
Right.
I'm going to try to put my face on camera. I'm going to see how this goes for a year, once a week. And if it works, then I'm all in and I'll stay with this. If it doesn't, then I quit and I'm going to just focus on being normal and doing my corporate thing and calling it a day.
Right.
The reason why I chose live streaming is because I knew I didn't have to worry about production and editing, and I could keep it really simple, get on camera and get off. And that was the morphing of Get Noticed with Video into live streaming, into Stream Like a Boss.
That's awesome. I love it that you gave yourself, first of all, a runway, and you said
Yeah.
like it was an experiment. You had a hypothesis, you experiment, and doing the things that other people won't do or won't scale, I think is important. Like it is hard. Like I say this all
Yeah.
the time. Every Friday I wake up and go, what am I doing? Like this
Yes.
nobody's going to show up. And then I see people like showing up and I just like, oh, okay. But it's really funny because so many people like Dustin Stout, the founder of Magi, very successful AI stuff going on with him. He said he did the side hustle thing for 12 years. And then his first side hustle was also direct marketing, MLM, selling legal and identity theft services, which is crazy. And then so many people are saying like, Tanya's the real deal. I've learned a tremendous amount from her. So like people like from just showing up, every week and being consistent and putting out good content, you've developed this community that watches you and you can fill up a room, right? Like I've seen, I was lucky enough to share the stage with Tanya at PodFest. We did a panel and it was so fun to see the people that she brought with her and the people she touched just from being on stage that all started from the courage to try an experiment and then following it through, not just doing it once and going, oh, that didn't work, but a consistent like year-long thing, which I think a lot of people don't do, but I think a lot of people stop right in front of the finish line. They don't ever try it, and they stop too early. Paul?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true. And I think one of the things that makes people stop is when they feel like they're not getting any traction or they're, there's nobody listening. So how do you push through that and get through when you feel like there's nobody in the room, especially live?
Yeah. Yeah. That's an interesting story too, because one of the questions I think a lot of people ask is, do you ever think you want to quit? And there were many times, especially within the first, I'd say 60 to 90 days of doing this live stream experiment, where I thought nobody is watching. So why am I doing this? Is it even worth it? And it was one time I actually didn't show up when I said I was going to show up. I didn't show because I thought nobody cares.
Right.
And in my inbox, I started getting messages asking, where are you? What happened? Why aren't you live?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
And I realized, okay, so I must be making an impact. There's something there, even if it's one person. I developed this mantra: one message, one person, right time. Whenever I showed up, I realized it wasn't about me.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't about me having 10,000 people following or watching. It really was about the one person who asked, where are you? I need you. I need to hear what you have to say. That's when I decided, that's what made me continue to move forward, Paul. And I don't know, there's different things for everybody. There's different buttons that each of us will find are pressed to make us have that discipline.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was being absent and then being asked, where are you?
Yeah.
That made a big shift for me in mindset.
It's funny. Our friend Lou Mangello, he's supposed to do a show every Wednesday, and he'll skip because he'll be traveling or something. And oh my gosh, people are just like you, Tanya, were like, are you okay? Was he in an accident? Why isn't he here?
Yeah.
Because you build up a community and then also you're consistent at the same time, every week. And I know you've had the same experience, but when you go to a conference like Social Media Marketing World or PodFest or whatever, you have people come up to you and say, I love your show. I watch it, every week. And they never comment. Like you've never seen them before.
Right.
And you're like, what? Okay, well, say something. And I'd love to talk to you during the show. But there's this whole people who just consume and never post. And we forget about those because I don't see like, Gabe in the comments or all these Lou Mangello. He actually popped in saying, oh, he can hear me. So actually he must be on a plane. He's bored, probably what he's doing. But yeah, he goes, hey, I can hear you.
Hey, Lou.
Yeah. So, and we were just talking about momentum that Tanya needs to come to that. But one of the things, I'll pull this up. Bob even says this, goes, Tanya's a star and the most consistent leader in this space for over a decade. He's always inspired by her. So those kind of by showing up and being engaging, and you're not doing it to to take money from people. You're doing it because you're
Right.
a giver, and I think that makes a difference too, because people can kind of suss out that kind of thing. But Tanya, before we
Yeah.
move on to this next section, I want to ask you, like, what's one thing about your side hustle journey that would surprise people? Something that you usually don't share, maybe even in your live streams, but something in your journey that would really surprise people. If it was like you kind of mentioned people showing up and realizing you weren't there that week. Is there anything else like that would surprise people about you doing a side hustle?
Yeah. I think that I second guess myself all the time, even now. I think people don't realize that it does take discipline, and it takes courage, and it takes a lot of prayer in my world.
Yeah.
It takes a lot to keep going, because even when you're seeing the little wins, sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit. So I think people will be surprised that I'm constantly quitting in my own mind.
Right. That's a great way to say it.
They don't know. They're like, really? You have doubt? You wonder and worry? And yeah, I do. Even now, even at this moment, I don't
Yeah.
know what type of impact I'm making by sharing from my heart, right? I don't know if this is the right thing to say. I just put it out there, and I've made a decision over the past couple of years, especially, that I'm just going to go out there and be authentic. And if it's right for someone, then that means that I was doing the right thing. It may not be right for everybody, and I'm not going to try to please everyone with what I do. But yeah, I second guess myself all the time. That's what people don't know.
Right. Right. And Paul's done live streaming too. I mean, it was a big thing for Paul when, he was doing a side hustle. When I met him at Momentum, he was still doing his corporate job, and it was a big deal to make that switch, wasn't it, Paul?
Yeah, it was tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, I was in a situation, same thing, golden pair handcuffs. Felt like, it was really hard to leave that comfort and go into the unknown. It's scary.
Yeah. And I think that there's some great comments we have in here, and he's saying, I come in all the time because it's the best part of live streaming. And that's where you have this community. And to be honest, if I didn't have a set time every week and I knew there would be people waiting to show up, it would be really easy for me to quit. Like, I couldn't be a YouTuber where I would have to kind of make videos and just hope that they worked and not get any real-time feedback. That's really hard for me to do.
Me
but
too.
But it's this, and see, you've already got people going, Tanya, you need to come to Momentum. You gotta come. and let's see. Some other people are saying, Tanya gives before she takes, which I think is such a good thing that people are putting in the comment, right there.
Thank
and then
you.
Melanie's saying, we are all quitting in our minds. So glad, Tanya, you have stuck with it. And Carlos was even saying it's tough because it's a very quiet universe. Like, it's the people who talk and make comments. I can trace my journey all the way back to Google Plus. There you go, Dustin Stout. Where I made a comment underneath Peg Fitzpatrick's post, and then it developed into a friendship. She used to run the social stuff for Guy Kawasaki, and now I produce his podcast for over 5 years. So, just little things for, like, yes, it takes a lot to go live, but it also takes a little bit of, if you're an introvert, to comment sometimes. So if you're watching right now and you're like, oh, I don't know, should I comment or not? It's a safe place. The water is warm. Jump on in. It's really great. So we love to talk to you. I want to go really quick to kind of like your scaling, because that's, I think, a big struggle. Like, people start their side hustle. I know Paul started a side hustle. You did one. I had clients that felt like a side hustle. They weren't, full-time jobs, but they were like the big clients, and then you'd have to do stuff on the side. So I want to talk about scaling. And I want to ask the audience, like, are you, when you're trying to do the side hustle at the same time, are you using AI in your content creating workflow yet? And say, like, yes or no, or trying, wherever you're watching from. I'd love to know if you guys are using AI to help with your side hustle. Because I know Tanya, she's one of the fun things that I think I connected with her first with was her love of tech and doing reviews and showing workflows and stuff like that, which I was really helpful when I was finding her content. So I wanted to know, when you added this live streaming into the mix, how did you scale that up? Because it's a little different doing live streams, because if you're doing a YouTube, you can batch a lot. Live streams, it's like you're there, it's an hour of content, and you can't really stack it. Like a lot of podcasters would like they do 2 days and they batch it for 2 months. Like we can't really do that as live streamers. So how did you scale kind of that live streaming when you started adding that in the mix?
The first thing that I had to do is to actually kind of sit down and map out the flows. And I learned this from before I was doing live streaming, that it was all about your systems. And so I had to sit down and think about, okay, so what do I need to do to prepare leading up to? So the pre-production of the live stream, what are the things that are non-negotiables that I absolutely need to do? And before I even talk about that, everything that I do is put into 3 buckets. It's either act on it, automate it, or assign it. Right? So if you got that trifecta and you're thinking about your decision-making process for how you do things, I looked at what are the things that I absolutely need to act on and what can I automate in the pre-production? What do I need to act, assign, or automate on in the production of the live stream? So when I'm actually live and recording, what are the things I need to really like fine tune and get down? And then listing out the things that I want to do after, because you don't want to forget about the fact that you just spent this time creating this amazing piece of content.
Right.
And now you're just like, okay, it's done. And you let it sit and you don't realize that you need to be repurposing and multiplying that content. So for me, first of all, having that framework of the act, assign, and automate, but then secondly, documenting how am I doing this? And then just consistently repeating those systems over and over again and refining them is how I ended up getting to where I am. And this was before all the fun AI tools that help us to do this faster, right? Like this was just using whatever was available, having a scheduling system. And I want to speak to those people who are doing dual careers. This is really important. Also knowing what your specific non-negotiables are. What's the manifesto that you're adopting for ensuring that you have that separation of your corporate or your job and your business time? So even having those rules in place allowed me to frame the systems around those non-negotiable rules.
Very cool.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier, you did some experiments and you've built these frameworks. You have a branding that is so recognizable. So how do you take those from experiments or side projects and really turn them into something that identifies you and, and a real brand now?
Yeah. It started with this. So when I first started trying to do business, I was like, let me go out here and find my name. So this is this is a story I don't tell much anymore, but my name is super common, in case you didn't realize that, right? So most people default to Tanya. I'm Tanya Smith, but it's still very common. And because it's such a common name, I recognized quickly, I'm not going to show up on search unless I do some things to really be differentiating myself. So finding the names that actually resonated with people that made sense. So Get Noticed with Video, being promotable, designing your work was one of my brands. Stream Like a Boss was one of my brands. So I really investigated and researched, how can I tie my name, Tanya Smith, to something that's going to resonate with what people are searching for? So that was imperative. Another thing was the brand colors, the fonts I used, how I showed up. I wanted it to represent, when people saw my brand anywhere, I wanted it to represent she's warm, she's encouraging, she's inviting us into her space. So even creating the studio set that I have here at home now was all around, I don't want it to be sterile. I don't want it to look like everybody else. Like, I want it to feel like you're sitting in a living room with me. So everything, honestly, when you ask that question, Paul, that has transformed over the years as well, but it's all been a part of how do I want to make people feel? So what do I love about different fonts? And I geek out on branding, by the way. What do I love about different colors? What do I love about just creating this whole theme, this visual that makes people say, oh, that's Tanya? Because they do recognize Stream Like a Boss now. And I got a registered trademark for that, which again is awesome, right? But it took 2 years to get approved.
Yeah.
But all of that was around me making sure that when I committed to it, I was like, yeah, this is it. This is who I am. How do I show this in a way that the right people are attracted to who I am and want to be in the space with me?
Yeah.
So it was little bitty decisions over time that started adding up that became the brand.
And I'll just say this, that Tanya has one of the best brand kits there are. I mean, oh my gosh, it's like so professional. Like a lot of times when you ask for a guest for a show, they'll send you like, here's some text of my bio. But she has this like with pictures, and it is so professional. It's on her website. It's incredible. So if you want, just go to her website and get that, because it's amazing. It's a great example of how to brand yourself for being on podcast or whatever. It's top notch. We do have a great comment here from Sarah Mary Parker. She says, scaling is a challenge for a lot of us, a lot of people to wrap their heads around. The side hustle equals selling our time, which is finite. So I've gotten so many ideas from Tanya Smith on buying back my time with AI so I can scale side hustles and services. So one of the questions, isn't that cool? I mean, it's just, see, you're touching all these people. That's what's so fun when you come as a guest. But one of the hardest things about a side hustle is time, right? Like what systems or routines did you put in place so this didn't consume your entire life? Because you get excited about something, but you still have to go to your corporate job, right? Like it's really hard for those two not to bleed over, or you're totally burnt out for the next day because you stayed up till 3 a.m. and then you had to go to work the next day. I mean,
yes.
Like, how do you structure your time? Do you have like certain days that you work on your show and then you kind of block certain times, or do you do it by task? Like, how do you manage all your time?
So a couple of things. Remember I talked about the non-negotiables and having a manifesto, right? So for me, there were a couple of things, and I want to make sure that this is clear for anybody who's considering doing both. You need to establish a clear separation between the job, the job, and the business. And so for me, it was no business during work hours. So I'm committed to fulfilling the requirements that I agreed to when I took the job. The corporate is the corporate. And I don't sacrifice or put my business time into those hours. So separating that out. The other agreement that I made with myself was no conflicts of interest. So I don't work with people who work in that company. They cannot become my clients. Like, I want clear delineation so that there's no conflicts of interest. And I also take time off if I'm going to be focusing on business activities. And I don't try to hide or lie about the fact that I'm doing business. So every manager, supervisor, person I'm reporting to, they always know I have a side business and you need to know this. And no, it's not going to encroach upon the time where I'm committed to achieving the results that I promised by having that employment agreement and contract that I promised you I would have for you. So one of the things is making sure that that's in place. The other thing is that, again, AI now is truly speeding up your ability to be able to automate. So remember that act, automate, and assign triangle. For me on the automation side now, Claude Cowork is ridiculous.
It is. It's so amazing.
Oh my God. So all of those processes I told you that I wrote out, the SOPs for pre-recording, production, and then post-recording, automated. Every week, Cowork goes in there and says, okay, we're pulling from your bank, right? I use an app, I use a platform that's made by Jeremy Vest called Niche King. And it pulls ideas from that and says, this is going to be your live stream for this week, but I'll give you 2 other options to choose from. and then I'll choose it, and then it writes out the script according to my specific preference as to how I want the template to work. So I fed it, these are the processes, and I need you to create these based on my voice, my tone, and what I want to say in the intro and outro, as well as the content that's in the middle. I just need you to structure it for me.
Yeah.
It takes all of that and then it repurposes it for me. Like literally Claude Cowork has changed everything within the last few weeks, y'all. So I was using a lot of different AI tools, but now I have minimized that to like a very small tech stack because of Claude.
Have you
It's
tried
crazy.
Whisperflow?
Yeah, and I use Whisperflow too.
That has changed everything. Like being able to talk to any app and just have it right at home, like to talk to my daughter in Slack or whatever. And this is this funny you said this because this is the first show that I've done actually completely in Cowork. So before I was copy and pasted, I had like prompts that I had in like Notepad, and I would do one prompt with ChatGPT and go back and forth. Now I have set up the Cowork space, so I say, here's my guest, here's her bio, here's what I want to talk to, and it gives me everything. It even gives me at the end 3 different versions of your jingle that I might be able to use or use parts of it. So it just runs it, and it's all in one place. I have a huge document now that has the way I want to do the show and all the social posts and all this stuff. Oh my gosh. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. It's like, it's life-changing. You're just like, oh, where have you been all my life?
Wow.
So
and I used to pay people to create like the jingles that you're talking about. I used to pay people to come up with the podcast intro and all of those things. And now I was able to use Suno to come up with my theme song for my show for Stream Like a Boss and created an entire album that we can use during our events. It is just, there's so much. Yeah.
And it's getting, this is the worst it's going to be, folks. This is the worst it's going to be. It's just going to get better.
Right.
It's true.
Anyway, sorry, we had to nerd out a little bit there.
Sorry.
I need some nerd out music to play or whatever. Yeah.
And y'all are making me want to go install. I have not installed Cowork yet, so that's probably it. My wife's going away for a week. So that's probably a project for next week. Thanks.
Yes.
You're not going to replace your wife with Cowork, are you? You're not doing that.
No.
Okay.
I didn't say that.
I was a little nervous. Okay.
No. I will have some extra time in the evenings to play.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes. We talked about scaling, and I love your routines and your systems you have. Let's talk about scaling the audience. And I know for me, you've been doing this for 20 years. You know, it's been a long time. We've seen different platforms change and having an audience and growing them. It's changed over time. But how are you finding now? What are you focusing on, and how are you growing that audience, serving them, and finding new people to get into your community?
So this is an interesting thing that I really have gone all in on this year. Because I see that this introduction of AI and other tools and technology is moving so fast, what I am really realizing is that people need to have human, in-person, real life, real-time interaction. So one of the things that I've done as part of my scaling system is to do more in-person events. I used to only, even though I'm here in Dallas, which is a thriving city, I never really did a lot of networking here. Most of my clients were on the East and West Coast, and it's crazy because there are a lot of people that come to Dallas. There are a lot of people that are in Dallas area. So I made a decision not only to do more in-person events and join groups and organizations that are here physically, but also to go out to in-person events a little bit more with intention. So it's not everybody's event, but definitely making some intentional decisions about where I show up and actually sit down and have coffee with somebody face to face.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the real differentiator is going to be real human interaction. You can always clone yourself and do all of those things with video and other things, but there's never going to be a you to another human interaction unless you intentionally make that decision to have that real time hug. Right. And so I'm making that be a priority for my scaling right now. And it's working.
Yeah. One of the things that I know you're a part of them too, because we have talked about it in the past, but masterminds have been the thing that also has
Yes.
gone. I know you mentioned Jeremy Vest, and we have one. Paul and I run one that we meet on Monday nights. Like Amy Keys, who's in the audience, is part of that, and that's one of the best things I think has helped me with my business. And now we're helping others, but being able to meet once a week, like virtual, and come and have problems and have people with the growth mindset, and then when you do meet in real life, it's like you just continue the conversation. It's so amazing doing that.
Yes.
And selfless plug, Paul and I are starting a second mastermind group. If you would like to be a part of that, make sure you just direct message either Paul or me. We'd love to have a chat with you because that one's getting ready to start up. We have about, I think, 2 seats maybe left that we could hold in this new one. So I want to talk, and we're going to, everybody does want to talk about it, but I want to talk about it. Let's talk about money, right? So let's talk about the money side. So when did this side hustle that when you started, you're still doing corporate, when did it start generating like real revenue? And what do you think changed to make that happen?
I changed and reframed how I was pursuing business. So you mentioned a word, you mentioned generous earlier, and I am absolutely generous. Anybody who's I see a lot of folks that are in the chat that I know. Anybody here will speak to that and say that I am generous. But I also had to realize at some point that what I'm doing is I'm investing in myself and something that one of my mentors told me. She said, you're never going to ever be able to charge someone $1,000 for a strategy session if you haven't invested in yourself in that way. If you haven't paid it, if you haven't done it yourself, you'll never be able to charge somebody else. And at the time, I didn't understand what she was saying. I didn't understand that. I recognized at some point I needed to reframe from, hey, I just want to be out there helping everyone, to, wait a minute, what I'm doing is I'm enabling people and I'm selfishly keeping them from really scaling their own businesses because I'm not modeling for them the behavior that they need to put out there into the world in order for them to make income. I need to charge more for my services because it is valuable information. And in order for them to be able to charge and to grow and to build wealth, I have to show that it's possible. When I reframed the way I used to think about, let me just give away, and really started assigning value to what I do and what I deliver, then I was able to create strategy sessions, courses, workshops that gave people the ability to invest in themselves so that they too not only were learning what I was teaching them, but mentally they were growing and realizing, oh, I can do this too in my own niche. One real clear example, and then I'll stop here. The real clear example was I used to do this thing called Let's Go Live Challenge, and it was a 5-day free challenge. And I would have people come through it, and at the end, a lot of them would never execute. So they do the 5 days, but then they'd be done. It wasn't until I started charging, and it was just it was $37 that I charged for it. More people attended, and I started asking why. And more people actually executed on what they learned. I asked why, and this one woman said to me, she said, when you were given this free, I thought, oh, it must not be anything. But when I had to pay for it and invest in it, I realized, ooh, there's some value there. And that was like a big light bulb. Like it was a switch turned on, like, oh, so if I'm not assigning value to it, I'm keeping other people from assigning value to it. So we have to start thinking like, how are we putting ourselves out there in a way that we can sustain our business and feed our families, but also ensure that we're training other people how to treat us.
So I want to do a follow-up question to this is how do you determine pricing? Because I think that's not only like, do we not value ourselves enough, but I see that a lot of creators ask that same question. It's like, I don't know what to charge because I look at somebody who's doing the same thing and they're charging like $10,000 and another person's charging $500 or $200. Like, where do I land? Like, I don't know. So what do you tell people who are struggling with coming up with a pricing structure?
I honestly don't have a magic formula for this, but what I will do is I do investigate. I will research and see what are other programs that are similar. What are they charging and how are they actually attracting people into those programs? And I try to model, because success leaves clues, right? Success leaves breadcrumbs. We've always heard this. So I look at programs that appear to be successful. Sometimes you don't know, right?
Right.
And I do try to experiment with the pricing. And if I'm seeing that certain things aren't working and I'm not attracting people based on a certain price, and there's psychology of pricing that you can study too with marketing, like, having a 7 at the end of things that are under $1,000,
Right.
$997, $97. Like there's all of that too. But in the end, it is literally about experimenting and putting out there a price that your particular audience will be willing to pay for what they receive. Not hours for dollars and trading in that way, but looking at the value of the outcome that you can produce based on what you are putting together. So if your program's outcome is of value to your audience, you got to test the market by putting a pricing on it that you think may work. And some of that takes the investigating of other programs that might be similar. But I don't have a magic formula for this, honestly. I think it literally is, what are your people, which might be different from my people? What's your audience willing to pay? And you're going to have to do a little experimenting with that. That's my real answer. I can't give you a black and white.
It's a lot of times they ask that and you're like, well, it depends. But I would say this, that you most always, all the time, devalue what you're worth. Like you need
it's
to, and
almost always.
Yeah. And I think Lou says, what makes you ever feel uncomfortable charging, double that. And that's probably where you should be, which I thought was a kind of fun example. So
I think that's smart. Super smart.
So I know I get asked this question a lot. When do you leave your side hustle and go full time? Because I know a lot of people feel like they're hitting a ceiling, whether it's how much time they can invest or how much money they're making, and they feel like the side hustle is being stifled by their other job. And you were in a situation too, like me, where you felt like you couldn't leave. So how do you answer that? And what do you tell people, and how do they make that decision to make the transition?
That's so tough. I say this is tough because it is something that I have actually been in real time dealing with myself, because there are opportunities, there are doors that I see opening, and it's a decision that you have to make to walk through door. Okay, I see it like this. There are going to be situations where you're working dual careers, where you're going to run up against a path that's going to go in two directions. One of those directions is going to feel really comfortable and safe. The other one is going to be very blurry and you cannot see the end of it. And this is where I literally am in this moment right now. Mm-hmm. And this is why I'm sharing this with you in all honesty, that it is a struggle and it's something you have to sit with, and you have to say to yourself, okay, what am I willing to give up and to sacrifice? Because there probably will be some sacrifices if you go down the blurry path. And I think there's a level of maturity. There's a season that's going to come when you have to make that call and just walk in faith, and the lights will show up as you make each step. I firmly believe that. Mm-hmm. But I can't give you what that time looks like for you, because the timeline for you will be different. The only other piece of advice I can give you on this question is this: don't ever feel shamed because you're working a full-time and you're doing your business on the side. I think there was a lot of that shaming going on, especially early on in my career, where people were like, why don't you just quit and just do this full-time? It wasn't the right time for me. It wasn't the right time for my family. Yeah. You get to make that choice, and don't ever feel ashamed because you're doing or juggling both. That is a personal decision, and it's your story that you're writing, chapter by chapter. So I just want to put that out there and say, I don't have the real answer other than you got to sit with that and make a grown-up decision.
It's easy.
Love that.
And I think a lot of people we look to gurus and people who have a huge following, whatever, and we say we're going to do exactly what they did and we'll get there. And that doesn't usually happen because everybody's, like you said, life is different. And also the rules have changed from where they started to where they're at now. Like the algorithms have changed, things like what are working for them to get them that spot. You can look at that as best practices maybe, but it's not a blueprint. There's a big difference between best practices and a blueprint. So I think you kind of have to build you sew the parachute as you're jumping out of the plane. Sometimes it feels like, but you know what? I mean, the other thing is, and I picked it up from what you were saying is, and I told my kids this, like getting to the next level, you always have to be uncomfortable. Like it's doing something that you don't want to do. That's how you get there. It's not doing the same thing over and over and over. It's doing something new. You have to stretch yourself, and that's where success happens. It's not, just doing the same thing and hoping new things come, to you. So anyway, great stuff. We have so many great comments. This is from the Drive Vibe Show. Says, I am not assigning value to it. People are not assigning value. If I'm not assigning value to it, people are not assigning value to it. Stream like a boss, knowledge bomb, hashtag. So many good things. And the amazing James Hick is here saying, perfect answer. There is no magic formula. We continue to iterate with pricing as we evolve. So anyway, this is great. And we need to get James back on the show because when the side hustle covers the healthcare copay, that's when you make the decision.
Okay.
That is true.
Truth.
Very true. My wife is a teacher who is considering retiring, and we're like, okay, because I'm on her healthcare. I'm like, okay, how's that going to impact the bottom line? And, all those things factor in. You just can't make a spur of the moment decision. But a good decision you should make is our friends at Ecamm. Go check them out at ecamm.com/Jeff. You can save 15% by using code Jeff15. They have helped me take things to the next level. We talked about scaling, and, I know Tanya uses Ecamm a lot for doing live stuff. So it's a great tool. If you want to do stuff like this, make sure you check them out at ecamm.com/Jeff. All right, man, Tanya, I could talk to you for so long. We need to just have like a standing call where we just nerd out about stuff. But I want to talk, this is one of the things, and I hope you guys caught it at my little jingle at the beginning, because she says this all the time, be seen, heard, and paid. Let's talk a little bit about that, of like, just kind of advice. And I want to know from you guys in the chat, Tanya says to be seen, heard, and paid. Which one are you struggling with right now the most? Is it being seen? Is it being heard? And a lot of us is probably being paid. So what are you struggling with right now in your side hustle or in your business? What is the biggest thing for you? And really quickly, 20 years of side hustling. What's the biggest lesson you've learned, Tanya, that you wish someone had told you on day one?
That you never have to model your success and your pathway after someone else. Yeah, again, going back to the whole success leaves breadcrumbs and all of that, definitely study other bios, look at other videos that are successful if you're doing videos or any other type of content, but do not limit yourself to someone else's path. Create your own. Own who you are and live authentically and be authentic. We were talking about this last night. The one thing that I love, the biggest compliment anybody can give me when I meet them in person is, you're the same in person as you are online and on video. Because I truly want to just show up as who I am everywhere. And I just want you to really believe that you have something that's positive and that's needed and that's good and it's uniquely yours. Show up with that and stop trying to build your path on someone else's road.
Well said.
That is so good. And I think in this world of AI and how we stand out, the uniquely you is one of those key things that people clip that, save that. That is what's going to set you apart. And speaking of that, you mentioned earlier on that you found that helping women and mentoring women entrepreneurs was one of those things that resonated with you. So what is the common struggle you're hearing right now for women entrepreneurs, and what do you say to them that are listening?
One of the most common things is time. time management, trying to figure out how to be and do all of the things all at once. And the thing I would suggest is we're living in a time, like I think Jeff said this earlier, like this, it's not going to get any worse than it is right now. You literally need to take advantage of the tools and of your own experience and blend those together to move faster. We have to adopt things quicker. We don't have the luxury of staying and lagging behind and remaining invisible in this time. We have to make an impact on the generations that are coming behind us. I am very fully aware and conscientious as I this year turned 55. I am so conscious about the fact that I don't know how much longer I have on this earth, but whatever time is available, I'm going to take more risk. I'm going to move faster, and I'm not going to keep thinking, it's not yet. Right? So I just all of these things. Yeah, time never lost a fight. I see that link or that comment from Dr. Vibe Show. Never lost a fight. So be willing to move out there and to be more vocal, especially women. Our voices are needed. We're the nurturers. We are community builders, and we need community right now. The society needs community to move us in the right direction. So be vocal, be visible. Stop making excuses and thinking that you have time, because you really don't know how much time you have left.
I'm in the same age, and so I'm been very the same thing. Like you don't, and Paul as well. You just don't know, and like, don't wait. Like for me, like I wanted to start playing the piano again. Like that's different from the business, but you know what I'm saying. Like, why wait?
Yeah.
There's not going to be any more time later on. Like, just do it. If you want to do something, do it. And we have so many great comments from people when I was asking the question of like, where do you want to be seen, heard, or paid? A lot of people are saying all three. Like Jennifer Cole, amazing Jen Cole saying seen, heard, struggling with that paid part. Yeah, so I think a lot of us feel that way. And then Tamika says, Tanya only knows how to be yourself in real life and in the digital world. So that is just such good to hear. And that's what we all want to do. One of the things that I'll tell you guys that I see a lot of you people who are creators and you're like, it's hard. I would love to get paid more. You are doing more than most of the people. If you go to your PTA or your church or whatever, nobody's creating content, right? We are in these groups and we think everybody's doing this stuff. It's not. Yeah. Like you are in the 1% of doing this. So give yourself a little bit of grace and take a deep breath, because you're doing things that nobody else around you is doing. So I just want to make sure you guys hear that, because it's tough, but you're doing things that nobody else is. So Tanya, the last question, and Jim Fuse had a great one. He goes, what's a resource you would recommend for learning AI for your business? And I'd also like to ask you, like, what's one book, podcast, resource that's really helped shape your entrepreneurial journey? So, yep.
Woo. Okay. So I'm going to go backwards, and I'm going to say the one that initially launched my journey around that time when I was considering what I wanted to do was called The Power of Intention by Dr. Wayne Dyer. That was an important book for me, because it really led me down the path of realizing that we limit ourselves with our mindset. So that's number one. Number two, what is it? You said, what resource would I recommend for learning AI? Oh my God, there's so many. There's so many. Jonathan Mast.
Yeah, he's good.
Is a person resource, and he is excellent. He is constantly every month, actually every couple of weeks, I think, putting out a new training of some kind.
I don't see how he
the
does
one
it,
thing I would he always has things, and he makes them very he simplifies the way that AI can work for you, and he talks about it in real language. So I love him, and I would absolutely say to follow Jonathan. The one thing about it is that he often does have large groups of people on his training. So if you are a person like I am, who doesn't necessarily thrive in large groups, because I'm an introvert, right? One of the ways that you can actually leverage his training is to turn off the chat when you join the Zoom call. You can do that.
Yeah.
Or you can watch the replays. But he's an excellent resource. Additionally, you'll find people like myself who are using AI for specific things. So if there's a specific thing you want to use AI for, join those different communities. AI Business Society, like I'm going to, right? Social Media Marketing World. So Michael Stelzner has a group that's AI Business Society. But learn and stay on top of the trends that matter to you and to the audience that you serve. You don't have to learn it all. You don't have to do all the things. Yes, I did get a certification with IWAI. Innovating with AI is who that group is. I got a certification because I really wanted to understand this on an expert level, so that when I talk about it, I can talk about it from that level. But that may not be for you. Figure out what it is you want to do and how you can do it faster by using specific tools that will resonate with you and your audience. That's it.
Great answer. Yeah. And somebody in the comments said, yeah, Tanya's the resource. So they're saying you're the one to go to too. So don't sell yourself short. But we are out of time. This was so amazing, Tanya. I want to let people know where they can find you. I appreciate you streaming on your channels because I know a lot of new people joined us today. So where can people find you, all things Tanya Smith?
Oh, yeah. I'll give you one link, and that way you can decide where you want to follow. But links.streamlikeaboss.tv. If you go to links.streamlikeaboss.tv, that will give you access to my coffee chat if you want to book a time to just have coffee. And it also will give you access to any of my channels, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, all the things.
Awesome. And where can people find the amazing Paul Gowder and all his adventures?
PaulGowder.com is the place. Or, of course, if you're interested in learning about powwows, come on over to powwows.com. I'd love to see you there, too.
Awesome. And everybody, thank you so much for today. Having a great show. This was awesome. So many great comments. We've got Sarah, Mary Parker, and the Dr. Vibe Show. Everybody who's signed up and said, and gave us some great comments today. We appreciate you. We thank you, our sponsors, Ecamm. We wouldn't be able to do that without them. You can find out more about them at ecamm.com/Jeff. And with that, we'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.